Hello, my name is Long John Baldry. I am your narrator for today's adventure, and I'm going to tell you a true tale called The Original Story of Winnie the Pooh. You can read along with me in your book. When it's time to turn the page, you will hear this sound. So let's begin. Everybody knows Winnie the Pooh. As Christopher Robin's most favorite stuffed bear, Pooh has been on many an adventure with his friends Piglet, Eeyore, Owl, Rabbit, Kangaroo, and Tigger. Yes, everybody loves Pooh. But did you know that Winnie wasn't always a Pooh bear? In fact, Winnie the Pooh bear started out as Winnie the real live black bear. It's true, and it's an amazing story. A long time ago, a handsome young man named Harry Colburn lived in a very nice city called Winnipeg, which is right in the middle of a very nice country called Canada. Harry was a veterinarian, which is a hard-to-say name for an animal doctor. He would help any animal that was sick or hurt, like cats and dogs and horses and cows. As our story begins, a war was being fought in Europe, which is a very long way from Winnipeg. Harry didn't like war, but he knew he had to do his duty. So he and a lot of other men left their regular jobs and became soldiers for a while. A train would take Harry and the soldiers to a boat, which would sail across the ocean to Europe. Now, because Winnipeg is in the middle of Canada, and because the boat was way over at one end of Canada, and because Canada is a very long country from the middle to way over at one end, it was going to be a very, very long train trip. So, in a little village called White River, the train stopped to give everyone a rest. Harry and the soldiers got off the train, breathed in the fresh, clean air, and decided to see what there was to see. On the station platform, an old hunter stood with a furry black bundle in his arms. It was a very curious black bundle. Being very curious himself, Harry approached the hunter and saw that the bundle wasn't a bundle at all. It was a bear, a small, furry, black bundle of real live bear. Harry tipped his cap, which is what soldiers do when trying to be polite.
Good afternoon, sir. Beautiful day, isn't it?
The old hunter grunted. Harry got right to the point.
Say, that's a very nice bear you have there. Why are you holding it?
The old hunter replied in a gruffly, grumbly, gravelly voice.
Orphaned. Lost its mom and dad.
Harry suddenly felt very sorry for the little bear. He wanted to help it, just like he did with the animals back home.
Could I hold it?
You can keep it. Too small for my liking. $20, and the bear's all yours.
The hunter gently handed the bear over to Harry's waiting arms.
It's a deal.
So with one arm cradling his new friend, Harry searched in his pockets for the money and gave it to the hunter. Both men smiled. When Harry and the bear got back on the train, the soldiers laughed and made lots of jokes.
Harry, what's with the bear? Phew, that is one smelly bear.
But the soldiers were only having a little fun. They could see that Harry really cared about the little bear. And with all that fuzzy fur, the soldiers were quite sure that it was the cutest animal they'd ever seen.
I think you need a name, my little friend.
Harry looked at the bear and started to think. After quite a lot of hard thinking, Harry had decided.
I've got it! I'll call you Winnipeg, after the best hometown in the world.
A soldier nearby frowned.
Too long. A real tongue twister.
Harry thought even harder than before.
Peggy?
Another soldier yelled at Harry.
Hey, that's my mom's name.
How about Winnie?
Everyone finally agreed.
Perfect!
So Winnie the Bear it was. As the train chugged along, Winnie had a grand time making friends. Being a very curious sort of bear, Winnie crawled all over the seats, and the floor, and the soldiers, and stuck its curious bear nose into every bag, and knapsack, and suitcase. Winnie even found a jar of honey that Harry had brought from home, and managed to stick its curious bear face in the jar, and got thick, gooey honey all over its curious bear nose. And Winnie tried to lick the honey off that curious bear nose and wipe it off with two curious bear paws. And soon there was honey getting stuck on everything. Everybody, especially Winnie, thought this was all great fun. Now soldiers like official animals, which they call mascots. A mascot is a most important animal that makes people happy and brings them good luck. And because soldiers like good luck almost more than anyone, they all decided that Winnie was now a most important, most official mascot.
Winnie's one of us.
One of a kind! A silly old bear! Hooray!
After a long time on the train, and a longer time on the boat, Winnie, Harry, and the rest of the soldiers finally arrived in a country called England, which is right next door to Europe. The soldiers would have to wait there for their turn to go to the war. Of course, while everyone was waiting, Winnie and Harry spent lots of time exploring. Sometimes the two friends visited a very big city called London, which has lots of interesting places for bears and people to explore. Winnie and Harry's favorite places were all the nice parks in the city. But their most favorite place was a park with a zoo in it, where all sorts of exotic animals and birds lived. Of course, Harry liked the zoo because he liked animals, and Winnie liked the zoo because, well, Winnie was an animal. One day, Harry and the soldiers were told that their turn had come to go to Europe and fight in the war. This was a big problem. They knew that war was no place for a bear, let alone people. What was Winnie going to do? As usual, Harry had been thinking the hardest, and he came up with a solution.
Where's Winnie's most favorite place?
The soldiers knew exactly where that was.
The zoo and the park in London, of course. So we'll take Winnie to the zoo, and our most important bear can stay there till we come back.
The zoo! Perfect!
So off they went to the zoo in the park in London. Harry told the animal keeper all about Winnie, what most important bears liked and what they didn't like, how curious they were, and how much they loved honey. The animal keeper thought it was a splendid idea for Winnie to live at the zoo, and he picked out a very nice place where Winnie could stay. It had lots of room and some friendly animal neighbors. The animal keeper promised to take good care of Winnie, and that made Harry happiest of all. When it was time to say goodbye, Harry gave Winnie a little scratch behind the ear, because that's what people do when saying goodbye to their animal friends. And Winnie gave Harry a big bear hug, because that's what bears do when they say goodbye to anybody. The two friends were both a little sad, but Harry promised to be back as soon as he could. While Harry and the soldiers were away, Winnie was very happy getting to know the new animal neighbors, like the elephants, who were very quiet and very big, and the monkeys, who were not so quiet and not so big. They were all different and had come from faraway places, but Winnie and the elephants and the monkeys became great friends just the same. They liked it when people came to visit them, and they liked it best when those people were children. After a very long time away, Harry returned from Europe. He went straight to the zoo in the park in London to visit his old friend Winnie. They were very happy to see each other. The animal keeper explained to Harry how Winnie was just about the friendliest bear that he had ever seen, and about all the children who loved to visit the friendly, fun-loving bear from Canada. Because Harry knew a thing or two about animals, he could see that Winnie was a very happy bear. He whispered something to the animal keeper, who smiled broadly.
Wonderful idea, Governor. Make a lot of people and Winnie very happy.
Harry leaned over to Winnie.
I think we found you a home, silly old bear. All your animal friends and all those children who visit you would be very sad if I took you back to Winnipeg. So here you'll stay.
The animal keeper laughed in agreement.
Oh, that's perfect.
So Harry went home to Winnipeg to take care of more dogs and cats and horses and cows, and Winnie continued to entertain lots of visitors at home in the zoo in the park in London. Now there were 3 particular people who came to see Winnie more than anybody else. 2 were grown-up men, and 1 was a little boy, not much taller than Winnie. The boy always carried a brown stuffed bear. The first time they visited, the brave little boy came as close to Winnie as he dared and whispered very politely,
How do you do? My name is Christopher Robin Mill, but you can call me Christopher Robin for short.
Christopher Robin held up the stuffed bear.
Allow me to introduce you to Edward, who is not a real bear. He was given to me as a special present for my very first birthday.
Christopher Robin pointed towards the 2 men who were reading the sign on Winnie's house.
And that's my father and his friend, Mr. Shepherd.
Winnie. Well, I'll be dashed. What a smashing name. Absolutely first-rate.
Christopher's father, Mr. Milne, was a writer and knew a good name when he read one. When Christopher Robin heard what his father said, he scrunched up his eyebrows to help himself think. After much scrunching and thinking, he decided something.
I believe it is time that Edward here had a new name.
He held up the stuffed bear by both arms and looked at him nose to nose.
Edward, old chum, from now on you are Winnie the Bear.
But then Christopher Robin thought some more.
Now wait a moment. There are lots of such and such bear names around. A name like Winnie needs something very special at the end.
By now, Christopher Robin was doing his hardest thinking.
Pooh, that's it. Winnie the Pooh.
So Edward the brown stuffed bear became Winnie the Pooh. And Mr. Milne liked the name Winnie so much that he began to write lots of children's stories about the adventures of Christopher Robin and his Pooh Bear. Mr. Shepherd, who was handy with a drawing pencil, made some very nice pictures to go along with these stories. And even though the Winnie the Pooh Bear in the pictures looked a little different from the Winnie the real live bear from Canada, Christopher Robin never forgot who had given Pooh Bear his name. And Winnie lived for a long time at the zoo in the park in London, and quite comfortably, thank you very much. Christopher Robin and Pooh and Mr. Milne and Mr. Shepherd and lots of other people continued to visit Winnie all the time. Mr. Milne's Pooh stories became very popular with children all over the world, and Winnie the Pooh became a most famous bear. People have even put up statues of Winnie the Pooh. You can see them today. There's one in Winnipeg, which is still a very nice hometown. There are 2 in White River, which is larger than a village now. And there are 2 in the zoo in the park in London. Yes, everybody certainly loves Winnie the Pooh. So that's how a very real live bear from Canada became a most famous stuffed bear named Winnie. But where does Pooh come from? As in Winnie the Pooh? Well, that's another amazing story. Deep in the 100-acre wood, where Christopher Robin plays, you'll find the enchanted neighborhood of Christopher's childhood days. A donkey named Eeyore is his friend, and Kanga and Little Roo. There's Rabbit, there's Piglet, and there's Owl, but most of all, Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, a tubby little cubby all stuffed with floppies. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, a willy-nilly silly old bear. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, a tubby little cubby all stuffed with floppies. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh, a willy-nilly silly old bear. I said a willy-nilly silly old bear. I said a willy-nilly silly old bear.